So this is a very opaque process, nothing like the kind of drawn-out campaign cycle in the United States. What essentially happens is that it's a very secretive internal affair where everything is dependent on political capital, really. So you have people, mostly men, who ascend through the ranks of the Communist Party. The way it typically works is that candidates are selected from the standing committee of the Politburo, which is a small 6 or 7 member body, which is composed of the most powerful people in the party, including the president, Xi Jinping. Once a president is elected, so Xi Jinping in 2012, they serve their first 5-year term. So she completed that first 5-year term in 2017. And typically what would happen is she would then have a successor in mind going into the second term. And so it becomes clear what the roadmap will be going into the end of his second term, which is wrapping up now. Bottom line is it's a very secretive, closed-door process, and it all depends on who controls power at that time within the Communist Party. And in this moment, Xi Jinping really controls all of the power. It's really up to him to determine who would succeed him, and at this point it looks like he is not ready to appoint a successor. That's kind of a complicated question. So back in the 80s, actually, the Chinese government established a constitution that included term limits on its presidency, but that was scrapped a few years ago. Back in 2018, the National People's Congress officially changed the constitution to remove those term limits, and so that clears the way for Xi Jinping to stay in power past 2022. There are no term limits on the presidency itself, and Xi Jinping actually also holds 2 other posts. He's the head of the military and the head of the party, and neither of those positions is limited by a certain number of terms either. So all three of his positions no longer have term limits now. What does it mean for China? It means that Xi Jinping will be, the most powerful figure in Chinese politics for some time to come, it appears. Going into this fall, we will see the 20th Party Congress take place, and it's at that point that it will become formalized that Xi Jinping will take that 3rd term, and that would last another 5 years. During that Party Congress, we'll also see if Xi appoints younger members to that standing committee or the body below it, which is the Politburo, which is a slightly larger 25-member body. And so from those appointments, we can see who might move up over time depending on which allies he places in which positions of power. So if we see a younger ally of his enter the standing committee, that might mean that that person would succeed him 5 years from now. I wish I had a crystal ball to see what Xi's big plans are. For now, he's keeping us all guessing, really. It's highly likely that he'll stay on for a 3rd term, and we'll know that for sure come the Party Congress. Whether he continues on to serve out his whole life, he could potentially serve for up to 2 decades more into his late 80s, remains to be seen. I think we'll know a lot more after we see who is appointed to those lower bodies, the Politburo and the Standing Committee, at this Party Congress in the fall.